If TikTok bought YouTube, the first thing to change would not be the videos. It would be the pressure behind them, not the content, not the interface, not even the algorithm, at least not yet. The first thing to shift would be something quieter. The psychological contract between a creator and their audience. The unspoken deal that says, you can take your time. You can post a 40-minute video. You can build something slow. That deal would be the first casualty, and most people would not even notice it disappearing. So let us take this seriously. ByteDance, the Chinese parent company behind TikTok, acquires YouTube from Google. The deal is worth somewhere north of $400 billion. Regulators argue about it for 18 months. Antitrust hearings happen. Senators say things that make it obvious they do not quite understand either platform. And then, somehow, the deal closes. Now what? The first press release is deliberately boring. Same YouTube, same creators, same monetization, same search bar at the top. Nothing changes today, the announcement says. And for about 3 weeks, that is technically true. But the people who build things on the internet for a living do not believe it for a second. There is a word that gets used a lot in creator communities: platform risk. It means the quiet, existential fear that the ground beneath you could shift at any moment, that the algorithm, the rules, the culture, the ownership could change and take everything you built with it. Creators who have been doing this long enough have learned to feel that risk in their chest before it becomes visible. And the morning the TikTok YouTube deal closes, that feeling becomes nearly universal. Because here is what every long-form creator understands about TikTok. It is not just a different app, it is a different philosophy about what video is for. YouTube was built around the idea that people come to watch something. They search, they choose, they commit. TikTok was built around the idea that people do not know what they want until a machine shows it to them, and that machine decides in the first 2 seconds whether you are worth keeping. YouTube respects intention. TikTok respects retention, and those are not the same thing. So when TikTok buys YouTube, the question is not just who owns it. The question is, which philosophy wins? The first real change arrives not as a policy announcement, but as a design update. Small, easy to miss. Thumbnails on the mobile app get slightly larger. The title text below them gets smaller. This sounds trivial. It is not. A thumbnail is an argument. It says, here is something worth choosing. When you make the thumbnail bigger and the context smaller, you are quietly shifting the platform from a search and choose experience toward a scroll and react one. The video becomes the hook. The idea becomes secondary. Creators notice. Forums light up. YouTube posts a response about improving mobile discoverability, which is true, technically. It is also a migration. Then, quietly, the algorithm changes. Not dramatically, but in the way that matters. Watch time per video has always been a core ranking signal. Now completion rate starts carrying more weight. Not did someone watch your video, but did they stay? Did they make it past the first 30 seconds? Did they survive the first minute? The system starts rewarding videos that hold people immediately over videos that reward people who stayed. This sounds reasonable. It is also, for a very specific type of content, a death sentence. The 45-minute documentary about a niche historical event, the 2-hour video essay, the long cooking tutorial, the slow-burn travel vlog that takes 15 minutes to get interesting. These videos have always survived on YouTube, not because everyone watched them, but because the people who did watch them watched all of it. That deep engagement from a smaller group was enough. Under the new model, it is not. There is a misconception worth correcting here. A lot of people assume that if TikTok owned YouTube, YouTube would just become TikTok. Vertical videos, trending sounds, 15-second loops. That is the easy version. The reality would be stranger and more gradual. ByteDance is not a content company. It is a data company. What it wants from YouTube is not the aesthetic. It is the library. YouTube has over 15 years of human viewing behavior encoded in its recommendation engine. 15 years of what people searched, what they clicked, what they rewatched at 3 a.m., what they paused on, what they abandoned. That behavioral archive is worth more than the platform itself. ByteDance already knows what people watch in short bursts. What it does not know as well is how people behave when they are willing to commit. YouTube teaches it that. So in the first year, the platforms do not merge. They cross-pollinate. TikTok starts surfacing YouTube clips. YouTube starts integrating short discoveries, TikTok-sourced content that YouTube's algorithm has identified as likely to convert long-form viewers. You watch a 5-second clip of a guy reacting to a nature documentary. Then YouTube serves you the full documentary. The funnel becomes seamless. The boundary between the two apps quietly dissolves. And here's where the second-order effect appears that almost nobody predicted. Because YouTube's search engine is the second largest search engine in the world, after Google, source needed. Millions of people do not Google things, they YouTube them. How do I fix a leaking tap? What does this medical term mean? How do you make a roux? Why does my car make that sound? These are not entertainment searches. They are utility searches. They are people treating YouTube like a library. When the platform optimizes hard for retention and completion, these instructional videos, the ones that are a little boring, a little dry, a little long, but extremely useful, start getting deprioritized in recommendations. The librarian gives way to the entertainer. And people slowly start discovering that the platform that taught them to parallel park and fix their washing machine now mostly wants them to watch a man eat spicy noodles with impressive enthusiasm. This is not the end of instructional content. It goes somewhere. It migrates. It finds new homes. But the informal, searchable, democratic knowledge sharing that YouTube quietly became over 15 years, that specific thing is harder to rebuild once the incentive structure stops rewarding it. For creators, the adaptation curve is brutal and fast. The people who adapt first are the ones who already understood that attention is the real currency. They start front-loading everything, hook in the first 8 seconds, conflict before context, answer before explanation. They restructure their videos not around the story they want to tell, but around the shape of a viewer who is hovering over a decision to leave. The content survives. The pacing transforms. Things get faster, denser, more caffeinated. And for a lot of creators, that pace is genuinely fine. They are good at it. The ones who struggle are the ones whose value was always in slowness, the essayist who needs 20 minutes to build an argument before it pays off, the documentary maker who trusts the viewer to stay, the tutorial builder who walks through every step because skipping steps breaks the learner. These creators face a genuine choice: change the shape of what you make, or accept that the platform will make you invisible. Some leave, some compress, some move to Patreon or Substack or whatever the next thing is. Some try shorts and find it does not feel like anything they recognize. There is a strange parallel here to what happened to magazines when social media arrived. The writing did not get worse. The audience did not get stupider. The economic incentive for slowness just evaporated, and the things that required slowness had to find different homes. Here is the contrarian thought that most people miss. TikTok and ByteDance are not actually trying to make YouTube worse. They are trying to make it stickier. Retention is not an artistic value, but it is not villainous either. Most people do not have 2 hours to commit to a video essay on a Tuesday afternoon. They have 7 minutes on a train. The platform optimizing for that 7-minute version of a viewer is, in some readings, the platform becoming more honest about how most people actually use it. The uncomfortable trade-off is this: the platform gets more accessible and less deep at the same time. More people finish more videos. Fewer people have the experience of a video genuinely changing how they think about something, because the videos that used to do that were 40 minutes long, and they have been quietly replaced by 8-minute compressed versions of the same idea, structured like a thriller so you stay until the end. The thing that gets easier is discovery. The thing that gets colder is patience. Governments will have opinions about all of this, eventually. Data sovereignty arguments that were already simmering around TikTok get supercharged when ByteDance suddenly holds the viewing history of roughly 2 billion people. Source needed: the EU moves first, probably, with some kind of data localization requirement. The US debates a forced structural separation. Maybe YouTube's data infrastructure has to remain on domestic servers under separate governance. The legal fight lasts years. Meanwhile, the average person using the app notices none of this. They notice that their recommended videos feel slightly different, slightly faster, slightly more likely to be something they would not have chosen, but cannot stop watching. That is the thing about platform acquisitions at this scale. The ideology of the acquirer does not arrive as a manifesto, it arrives as a series of A/B tests, a slightly larger thumbnail, a slightly different weighting in the ranking signal, a new default setting that 80% of users never change. The philosophy of what video is for sneaks into the infrastructure before anyone has to defend it publicly. And here is what the whole scenario quietly reveals about the internet we already have. YouTube was never just an entertainment platform. It became, almost accidentally, the largest library of human instruction ever assembled. How to grieve, how to fix things, how to understand things, how to learn things that school did not teach. That function was never the point of YouTube. It was a side effect of giving people the freedom to post whatever they wanted and letting the audience decide what mattered. That function survives only as long as the incentive structure is indifferent enough to allow it. The moment the platform starts optimizing hard for a single metric, completion, retention, engagement, the things that were quietly valuable but not exciting start to disappear. Not because anyone decided to remove them, because the system stopped rewarding the people who made them. TikTok buying YouTube would not break the internet. It would reveal something the internet was already doing to itself. The attention economy was already winning. The acquisition would just make the philosophy official. The library does not burn, it just gradually stops being a place where anyone comes to read.